Hey warrior, take a deep breath and let yourself settle here with me for a moment. You've carried battles in your heart that nobody else can see, haven't you? Maybe you've been struggling with memories that won't let go, fears that feel too big to face, or a sense of being outnumbered by life itself. But today, I want to take you back to a battlefield from more than 500 years ago, a place called Marathon, where a small group of ordinary men faced an empire that seemed unstoppable. What happened there was more than just a military victory. It became a timeless lesson in courage, resilience, and healing. And that's what we're going to explore together, how the Battle of Marathon can help you discover strength in your own inner battles, and how healing can come not from running away, but from facing the giants within. This is not just history, it's a mirror for your soul. Just like Athens once stood small before Persia, you too may feel small in front of your struggles. But hidden within you is a power greater than numbers, greater than fear, greater than pain. Tonight, we will uncover what that power is, how to call on it when life overwhelms you, and how to transform the weight you carry into the very thing that sets you free. Before we dive deeper, I want this to be more than just me speaking and you listening. I want this to be a community, a space where we stand together like the Phalanx of Athens, shield to shield, soul to soul. So tell me in the comments, where are you watching from right now? And what time is it in your world? Are you lying down in the quiet before sleep, or sitting with a cup of coffee in the early morning light? Share it with us, because every detail makes this journey more real, more connected. And if this message resonates with you, if you feel that spark of recognition that you're not alone in your struggles, I invite you to join this journey by subscribing to the channel. Let's build a circle where stories, philosophy, and healing come together. Hit that like button if you believe healing is possible, and don't forget to leave your voice in the comments below. Your story matters here. Fear is often the first and loudest enemy we face in life. Before swords clash, before words are spoken, before choices are even made. Fear whispers in the mind, you can't, you're too small, you're not ready. The Athenians at Marathon heard those whispers too. They looked across the plain and saw tens of thousands of Persian warriors, archers, cavalry soldiers, trained to fight under the banner of the greatest empire in the world. By every measure, the Athenians should have been crushed. Yet what allowed them to stand was not the size of their army, but the depth of their courage. And that's the lesson we need today. Fear magnifies what stands against us, but courage magnifies what stands within us. Think about your own life. Perhaps you've stood at the edge of a decision that felt impossible, leaving a toxic relationship, speaking up for yourself, starting over when failure seemed certain. Fear in those moments is like an empire, huge, overwhelming, and armed with every reason why you should surrender. But just as Athens showed inner strength, is not about erasing fear. It is about looking fear in the eye and stepping forward anyway. Fear has a way of exaggerating reality. Neuroscience tells us that the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing threats, fires intensely even when the danger isn't life-threatening. That's why public speaking can feel like standing before an army, or facing a difficult conversation can feel like going to war. Fear distorts scale. It makes the challenge appear massive and us appear small. But here's the truth. Just as Persia, for all its numbers, had weaknesses, so do the fears that haunt you. They may look unstoppable, but they are not invincible. Miltiades, the Athenian general, didn't deny the terror his men felt. He didn't tell them, "Don't be afraid." Instead, He showed them why their fear was not the whole truth. He reminded them that they weren't fighting in foreign soil. They were defending their homes, their families, their very freedom. Fear said, "You're outnumbered." Courage replied, "But this land is ours." In healing psychology, this reframing is powerful. Instead of letting fear dominate the story, we insert a counter-narrative. When your mind says, "I will fail," the counter-narrative might be, "Even if I stumble, I will grow." When fear says, "You're alone," the counter-narrative reminds you, there are people who stand with you. Inner strength is often not a loud, heroic charge. It is quiet. It is the act of taking one step forward when everything inside wants to step back. The Athenians charged the Persians not because they had erased their fear, but because they refused to let fear dictate their actions. In life, your step forward might be as small as sending a message. You've been avoiding booking an appointment for therapy, or admitting to someone you trust, "I'm struggling." These may seem like tiny gestures, but they are the equivalents of holding the line at marathon. Here's something we often forget. Fear is not only an obstacle, but also a guide. The very thing that frightens you is usually pointing toward what matters most. If public speaking terrifies you, perhaps it's because you long to be heard. If vulnerability feels unbearable, perhaps it's because connection is deeply important to you. The Athenians' fear revealed what they valued most: their freedom, their city, their children. Fear can be a compass showing you the direction in which growth is waiting. Healing from fear means changing the way we talk to ourselves. Instead of repeating, "I can't handle this," we practice saying, "I may be afraid, but I am capable." The Athenians didn't magically multiply their numbers, they multiplied their belief. They believed that courage, strategy, and solidarity could outweigh the empire before them, and history proved them right. What if you treated your fear the same way? Not as a verdict, but as a challenge. Not as a final answer, but as the beginning of your courage. Practical steps to cultivate inner strength. Name your fear. The Athenians didn't pretend Persia wasn't there. They acknowledged the reality. In your life, healing begins when you name what you're afraid of. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Reframe the story. Ask what is the truth that fear is hiding. For Athens, the truth was their home field advantage and their determination. For you, the truth might be your resilience, your past victories, or the people who love you. Take one step. Choose one small action that moves you forward. Small steps build momentum, and momentum builds courage. Build reminders of strength. Athens had the Acropolis, a symbol of identity. Create your own reminders, affirmations on your wall, a journal of victories, or a trusted friend to call. Accept fear as part of the journey. The Athenians didn't wait to feel safe before they acted. Healing doesn't require the absence of fear, but the willingness to live alongside it. When Athens stood victorious at Marathon, it wasn't just a military triumph, it was a psychological one. They had proved to themselves that fear could be faced and giants could fall. Imagine the relief, the collective exhale, the peace that washed over them as Persia retreated. That peace is also available to you. It comes not when life removes every threat, but when you discover that inside you is a force greater than fear. Your personal marathon is not about defeating an empire. It is about discovering that you are more resilient, more courageous, and more whole than you've ever been told. Every time you take a step forward, you are rewriting the story of fear into a story of strength. When we think of weakness, we often imagine it as a curse, a disadvantage, something to be ashamed of. But what if weakness was not the end of the story, but the beginning of transformation? The Athenians at Marathon proved this truth. By all appearances, they were weaker, fewer in number, less equipped, facing an enemy whose empire stretched across continents. Yet what made the difference was not brute force, but the way they used the terrain. Geography turned into strategy, and what seemed like a limitation became a path to victory. This is where history speaks directly to our inner lives. The terrain of the battlefield mirrors the terrain of the soul. And just as the Athenians learned to fight smart on land that seemed unfavorable, we too can learn to navigate our emotional landscapes, transforming our vulnerabilities into sources of resilience. The Persians relied heavily on cavalry, fast, terrifying, and deadly in open space. But the plain of Marathon, with its marshes and uneven ground, limited their advantage. The Athenians recognized this and chose to fight where the enemy's strength would be weakened. They didn't try to beat Persia at its own game. They forced Persia to play differently. In healing psychology, this is about choosing your battlefield. When facing inner struggles, anxiety, shame, grief, we often lose because we confront them on their strongest ground. We fight anxiety by trying to control every detail. We fight shame by pretending we are flawless. We fight grief by running away from it. But these are the terrains where our fears thrive. What if instead we shifted the ground? What if anxiety was met, not with control, but with surrender to what we can't predict? What if shame was met, not with perfectionism, but with the courage to be seen as imperfect? What if grief was not pushed away, but held gently, allowing it to teach us the value of love? This shift in terrain changes the battle entirely. The world tells us to eliminate weakness, to cover it up, to pretend it doesn't exist. But weakness, when acknowledged, becomes a teacher. Think of it this way: the cracks in the wall are not just flaws, they reveal where the light enters. Your weakness may reveal where healing is most needed and where your greatest wisdom can grow. For example, someone who has lived with deep loneliness may grow into a person with extraordinary empathy. Someone who has battled anxiety may develop remarkable preparedness and attention to detail. Someone who has faced failure repeatedly may learn resilience that success alone could never teach. Just as Athens turned uneven terrain into strategy, you too can turn your scars into strength. The Stoics remind us that what we call weakness often comes from judgments, not reality. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." The Athenians could have looked at the marshes and seen disaster. Instead, they saw opportunity. Likewise, when you look at your own struggles, the perspective you take can transform them from curses into catalysts. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is not just philosophy, it is lived reality. Your weakness, your obstacle, your terrain, it can become the very path of healing if you are willing to see it differently. How to reframe weakness into power. Acknowledge it openly. The Athenians did not deny the presence of marshes or Persia's numbers. They accepted reality as it was. In your life, admitting weakness is the first step toward transformation. Denial only feeds fear. Look for the hidden advantage. Ask yourself, what does this struggle teach me that nothing else could? Anxiety sharpens awareness. Sensitivity deepens connection. Grief heightens gratitude. Every pain has a hidden lesson. Redefine the narrative. Weakness is not the same as failure. You can write a new story in which what seemed like a flaw becomes a source of wisdom. Just as Marathon became a story of courage, not desperation, your wounds can become testimonies of survival. Practice flexibility. Terrain requires adaptation. The Athenians didn't fight the way Persia expected. Healing requires the same, a willingness to experiment with new methods, therapy, journaling, mindfulness, or simply slowing down. Integrate. Don't erase. True strength is not about erasing weakness, but integrating it into who you are. Your terrain is part of your identity. The goal is not to become flawless, but whole. Imagine a young man who has battled stuttering his entire life. In childhood, his weakness led to ridicule. Fear of speaking became his battlefield. But instead of trying to silence or escape this weakness, he chose a different terrain. He joined a debate club where structure and practice gave him control over speech. His stutter never vanished, but in time, his ability to speak with authenticity and courage inspired others. His weakness became the doorway to his strength. Isn't this what healing looks like? Not the removal of scars, but the transformation of scars into symbols of survival. When Athens stood victorious, it was not because they erased their disadvantages, but because they embraced them wisely. Likewise, healing brings peace. Not when every weakness disappears, but when you no longer see them as enemies. When you understand that your terrain, the quirks, the wounds, the vulnerabilities can be shaped into strategy, you no longer live at war with yourself. Imagine how freeing that is to wake up and no longer despise your past, your flaws, or your pain. To instead see them as the soil in which your resilience grew. This is the peace of the terrain of the soul. As you hear these words, ask yourself, what terrain am I standing on today? Where do I feel weak, exposed, or overwhelmed? And what hidden strength might be waiting for me in that very place? Remember, the Athenians did not win by pretending to be Persia. They won by being fully themselves, by using what they had and turning terrain into advantage. Healing asks the same of you to stop wishing for another life, another past, another self, and to start using the exact terrain you stand on to move forward. When the Athenians marched onto the plain of Marathon, they knew one truth: if they fought as scattered individuals, they would be annihilated. Persia's arrows would rain down, its cavalry would slice through, and the sheer weight of numbers would crush them. But Athens had something Persia did not: a formation, a discipline, a unity of purpose. That formation was called the Phalanx, a wall of shields, interlocked each warrior's right side, protected not by his own arm, but by the shield of the man beside him. The Phalanx was more than military strategy. It was philosophy in motion. It was the embodiment of unity, trust, and discipline. And if we step back, we can see that the same principle applies to the battles of the soul. To heal, to endure, to find peace, we too need a phalanx, an inner structure of discipline, and an outer circle of people who stand shield to shield with us. In life, many wounds are inflicted by isolation. Depression whispers, "You are alone." Anxiety insists no one else understands. Trauma convinces us no one can be trusted, and so we retreat. But healing cannot thrive in isolation. Just as no Athenian could stand alone against Persia's flood, no soul heals fully in solitude. The Phalanx teaches us this: your strength is multiplied when you are connected. That connection may be with a friend who listens, a therapist who guides a community that encourages, or a spiritual practice that anchors you. Every bond you form is like another shield beside yours. But unity is not just external. There must also be inner unity. Too often our inner life is fragmented. One part of us filled with hope, another with despair. One part yearning for healing, another sabotaging progress. Healing requires gathering these inner parts, listening to them, and creating a phalanx within the soul. Instead of warring against yourself, you bring the pieces of your identity into alignment. Unity without discipline collapses under pressure. The Athenians trained to move as one to hold the line, even when arrows struck, to trust the rhythm of the formation rather than panic. Discipline turned ordinary farmers and artisans into a wall of bronze and resolve. In your life, discipline is not about punishment. It is about building a structure sturdy enough to hold you steady when chaos comes. Daily practices, writing in a journal, meditating, exercising, praying, setting boundaries are the shields of your phalanx. Alone, one habit might not seem powerful, but together they interlock, creating resilience. For example, if you wake with anxiety, the habit of mindful breathing steadies you. If negative thoughts strike, journaling reframes them. If exhaustion tempts you toward despair, exercise or rest restores balance. Each practice covers the weakness of another, just as one shield covers the man beside it. Stoic philosophy insists that strength is found in both discipline and community. Epictetus reminded his students, "No man is an island. The well-being of each is the well-being of all." Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids." The Athenians lived this truth on the battlefield. Each man understood, my shield protects not me but him. Healing too calls us to this selfless strength. When you practice discipline, you not only protect yourself, you protect those around you. Your calm presence becomes a shield for a friend in chaos. Your forgiveness creates space for reconciliation. Your resilience inspires another who is struggling. The phalanx of the soul, then, is not only about surviving, it is about becoming a source of stability for others. Imagine the opposite of the phalanx: scattered individuals, each fighting for themselves. Fear takes hold, arrows find gaps, and the line collapses. In our own lives, this collapse happens when we abandon practices that ground us, when we isolate ourselves from community, when we let fear divide our inner world. Without unity, the soul becomes chaotic. Without discipline, healing becomes fragile. We may feel strong one day, but crumble the next. That is why the Athenians' phalanx is such a powerful image. It shows that strength is not about being invulnerable alone, but about being interwoven, inner practices, linked together, outer connections, holding us steady. How to build your phalanx of the soul. Choose your shields. Identify the habits and practices that can protect your peace. Meditation, journaling, prayer, therapy, exercise, art. Each one is a shield in your wall. Strengthen your formation daily. A phalanx must be practiced. Discipline grows through consistency, not intensity. Even 5 minutes of mindful reflection daily builds resilience over time. Find your fellow warriors. Healing is magnified in connection. Share your journey with a trusted friend. Join a community or lean on a mentor. Their shield protects you, and yours protects them. Accept the rhythm of progress. In the phalanx, each step is measured and slow. Healing is the same. You don't need to sprint. You only need to keep moving together. Be a shield for others. Offer your calm, your empathy, your patience to someone else. In doing so, you strengthen not only their wall, but your own. Picture your soul as a battlefield. Chaos presses in for grief, doubt. Alone, you tremble. But then you begin to see the formation taking shape. To your left stands your discipline, the daily practices that ground you. To your right stands your community, the voices that remind you you're not alone. Behind you stands your faith, your values, your philosophy. And ahead of you stands your courage. Shield to shield, they form a wall. And in that wall, you are safe enough to move forward. This is the phalanx of the soul, an inner unity forged through discipline, and an outer strength built through connection. When the Athenians held the line at Marathon, they experienced the profound calm that comes from order amid chaos. Their hearts raced, their bodies ached, but the unity of the formation gave them confidence. They were no longer just men, they were a living wall. Healing offers us the same peace. When your life feels fragmented, you can draw your pieces into formation. When your mind feels scattered, you can return to your daily disciplines. When loneliness whispers, you can reach for connection. In formation, you discover that peace is not the absence of battle, but the presence of unity. Who stands in your phalanx today? What practices form the shield wall of your inner life? Where are the gaps in your line that need strengthening? The Athenians won because they trusted one another and their discipline. You too can win your battles by building a phalanx of the soul in a unity, outer connection, steady discipline. Victory is often imagined as an endpoint, a final moment where the struggle ends, the wounds close, and life returns to harmony. Yet history and human psychology both reveal a deeper truth. After the battle comes the harder task of sustaining peace. When the Athenians stood victorious at Marathon, they did not suddenly erase their fears, nor did the world instantly become safe. Persia was not gone forever. Shadows of return lingered. The true work was just beginning to preserve what had been won and to build a foundation strong enough to withstand future storms. In the same way, healing is not only about overcoming one crisis, it is about living wisely in the aftermath, tending to scars, and learning to carry peace forward into daily life. The Athenians rejoiced in their victory, but deep down, they knew Persia would not forget. This awareness shaped their psychology. Vigilance, preparation, and resilience became necessities. They had proven that courage could triumph, but they also understood that fear could return if they grew complacent. In our personal lives, the same pattern unfolds. After we survive a crisis, whether heartbreak, illness, loss, or depression, there is a temptation to believe the journey is complete. But echoes of pain linger. Old fears can resurface, sometimes stronger than before. Healing then is not about erasing all fear, but about learning to coexist with the possibility of its return without letting it dominate our lives again. Survivors of great challenges often describe a strange paradox: relief and unease coexist. Relief because the worst is behind them, unease because they know difficulty might return. The Athenians lived with this paradox, and so do we. Psychologists call this the aftershock effect. Just as an earthquake leaves tremors after the main event, crises leave psychological tremors in the soul. Nightmares, flashbacks, anxiety, or sudden waves of sadness are common. These aftershocks are not signs of weakness. They are natural responses. What matters is how we prepare for them. The Athenians prepared by strengthening their defenses, training their youth, and remembering that vigilance was part of freedom. We too can prepare not by living in paranoia, but by creating inner stability through consistent practices and mindful awareness. Athens' greatest achievement after Marathon was not just the victory itself, but the identity it forged. The battle gave them confidence in who they were, and this confidence fueled decades of cultural and intellectual flourishing. They built theatres, schools, and temples, not just walls and weapons. This holds a lesson for us. After overcoming pain, we must build lives rooted not in fear, but in meaning. Healing is not only about avoiding future wounds, but about creating beauty, purpose, and joy out of the space pain once occupied. Ask yourself, what do I want to build with the strength I've gained? Perhaps it is a healthier relationship, a creative project, a stronger bond with community, or simply a life lived more slowly and gratefully. Whatever it is building becomes a way of honoring your survival. In earlier reflections, we spoke of the Phalanx, the wall of shields, the discipline of unity. After victory, the Athenians did not disband their phalanx. They trained harder, knowing unity must be preserved for the future. Likewise, your personal phalanx of healing must continue even after the crisis seems over. Too often we drop our healthy habits once we feel better, skipping meditation, abandoning journaling, neglecting exercise or therapy. But healing requires consistency, not occasional bursts. Discipline is not punishment, it is maintenance of peace. Think of it as tending a garden. The weeds of fear and doubt may try to grow again. Daily care keeps them from overtaking the flowers of resilience and calm. One of the greatest dangers after victory is complacency. The Athenians knew this. History is full of examples where cities or nations celebrated too long and ignored threats that quietly returned. In personal healing, overconfidence can look like ignoring limits, rushing into stress, or pretending the wound never existed. But true peace does not come from denial. It comes from humility, the awareness that healing is a lifelong practice. Just as athletes continue to train even after winning, the soul continues to care for itself even after overcoming pain. There is an essential shift we must make after surviving, from merely surviving to truly flourishing. Survival is defensive. It is about making it through the night. Flourishing is expansive. It is about creating loving and living fully. The Athenians understood this shift. Their victory gave them breathing space, but their flourishing came from what they built with it: philosophy, democracy, art. They did not define themselves only by war, but by what they chose to nurture in peace. For us, flourishing may mean rediscovering joy, reconnecting with creativity, or nurturing relationships that once felt too risky. It means stepping out of survival mode into the freedom of living deliberately. Practical ways to sustain peace. Continue daily practices. Even when you feel healed, keep your routines, meditation, journaling, gratitude exercises. These are shields of long-term peace. Stay connected. Maintain relationships with those who supported you. Healing is reinforced through ongoing connection. Reframe setbacks. Aftershocks may come. View them not as failures, but as reminders to return to your foundation. Seek growth. Don't let healing become stagnation. Use the strength gained from hardship to pursue new goals and deeper meaning. Celebrate gently. Acknowledge victories, but with humility and gratitude. Let celebration fuel discipline, not replace it. In the end, the Athenians' victory at Marathon was not just about repelling Persia. It was about proving to themselves that resilience could carry them into the future. The real healing came not from the clash of weapons, but from the lasting confidence that they could face whatever returned. Your life is the same. The battles you've endured are not only scars, they are testimonies that you can endure. The peace you seek is not fragile. It is forged from survival, discipline, unity, and growth. And when fear whispers again, you will know, I have faced it before, and I will face it again. I am not the same person I was before the battle. I am stronger, wiser, and capable of sustaining peace beyond victory. Warrior, if you've stayed with me until now, take a moment to breathe deeply. Let the story of Marathon sink in, not as a distant tale from history, but as a mirror for your own journey. The Athenians faced an empire that seemed unstoppable. They had every reason to surrender, every reason to hide, and yet they stood, they fought, and they discovered a truth that still matters today. Peace does not come from avoiding the battle, but from facing it with courage, discipline, and unity. And so it is with you. Whatever your personal Persian Empire may be, fear, grief, anxiety, loneliness, it does not define your destiny. What defines you is the choice to face it. Healing is not about erasing pain. It is about transforming pain into wisdom. It is about walking through the battlefield of the soul and realizing that within you is a strength greater than anything that rises against you. Remember this: every scar is a testimony that you endured. Every setback is a lesson that shaped your resilience. Every time you chose to keep going when it felt impossible, you were building your inner phalanx shield to shield habit to habit, value to value. You may not always see your strength, but it is there, just as Marathon reminds us that the smallest city can defy the greatest empire. As you leave this reflection tonight, carry with you the peace that healing is not a destination, but a practice. Each day you breathe, you are healing. Each time you choose kindness over bitterness, you are healing. Each step you take forward, no matter how small, is a victory. I want to leave you with a blessing. May your nights bring rest to your heart. May your mornings bring clarity to your mind. And may your days carry the quiet strength of knowing you are more resilient than you realize. Whatever battle you are fighting, you are not alone. Others stand beside you, and even if you can't see them, their shields touch yours in unseen ways. Now I want to hear from you. What is the marathon you are facing in your life right now? Share it in the comments, not as a confession of weakness, but as a declaration of courage. Tell me where you are watching from and what time it is in your world. Your story matters, and when you share it, you may find that someone else needed to hear they are not alone in their struggle. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and join this community of fellow warriors. We are building a space where philosophy, history, and healing meet, where stories remind us that peace is possible, and where voices from around the world form a kind of modern phalanx for the soul. So until we meet again, take care of yourself, guard your inner peace, and remember, just as Marathon showed the world that courage can overcome impossible odds, your own battles can become the ground where your greatest healing takes root. Good night, warrior. May you rest well, rise strong, and walk forward with the quiet certainty that you are already enough.